What we'll need for this recipe is about 200 grams of white fish. I'm using gurnard in this, so naming the dish gurnard with bulgur. Also, we're going to need 120 grams of bulgur wheat. With the bulgur wheat, by volume, double it up with water. So it's 1 part bulgur wheat into a cup, and whatever volume that takes up in your cup or bowl, use twice the amount of water, 2-to-1 ratio. I have 100 grams of washed fresh spinach, 200 grams of asparagus. The juice of 1 lemon and the zest of 1 lemon is in that as well. 200 grams of cherry tomatoes, which are washed, and 50 grams of sun-dried tomatoes, which are just very, very roughly chopped. I also have some shredded mint here. You just be approximate with this, but roughly 10 grams of shredded mint. And I just kept back a little piece for garnish. Some good olive oil. We'll probably end up using about 2 tablespoons of this. And a little bit of freshly ground pepper and a little bit of salt. Into the pan, I'm adding a tiny drop of oil. And then I very lightly seasoned the fish, the gurnard, and I'm going to just pop that into the pan. At the same time, I'm going to add all of the cherry tomatoes, and I've kept them whole. And also going to add the dried tomatoes. I just let them cook for just a couple of seconds. Next, I'm going to add my asparagus. All together. I'm going to cover the pan. I just let it cook for maybe 15-20 seconds. Next, I'm going to just carefully turn the fish and just agitate everything in the pan together. You know, try to get a little bit of oil over the different elements. And then I'm going to add my bulgur all together. This is dry, but don't worry, bulgur does cook very, very quickly. Get most of it towards the base of the pan. The reason we're adding it at this point and cooking in this way is because the bulgur will absorb all of the flavour that's in the pan. So the asparagus, the tomatoes, the sun-dried tomatoes and the fish. Now add the water in, which has been measured at 2-to-1 ratio to your bulgur. And let that just come to a nice simmer. Cover and allow it to cook for about 2 minutes. As the bulgur starts to reabsorb and soak in all that water, about 2 to 5 minutes. Again, there's very, very little to go wrong with this dish. Having cooked with the lid on for about 2 minutes, I'm going to turn off the heat. But this is very, very important. The heat is now turned off, but don't take the lid off because all of that heat is trapped there. So the bulgur is continuing to cook, the fish and everything else is just cooking at its own pace there. And we'll now wait about 3 to 5 minutes without doing anything. as the bulgur absorbs all the flavors, all the juices, and all the waters and everything else. This allows you to use a lot less salt than you might normally use in this type of cooking. Again, the sun-dried tomato, that's going to give a lot of glutamate into the dish and those kind of lovely savory flavors without having to use an excess amount of salt. Now, having waited about 5 minutes, remove the lid and add your spinach. As you can see, the bulgur now is completely absorbed all of the juices. And the fish is virtually ready. Now I'm going to add the spinach, just a pinch of salt, a little bit of pepper, the juice and zest of the lemon, and just kind of agitate and move those around there, getting them in particular into the bulgur. And just a little bit of olive oil, but not too much, about 2 tablespoons. Always use the olive oil towards the end of the cooking because olive oil is quite heat sensitive. Turn the dish back onto a high heat and let it cook for about another 1 minute, maybe 1.5 minutes, just to wilt the spinach. After about a minute, remove the lid. Again, very little to go wrong here. And as you can see, spinach is just nicely wilted down and all those juices now have come together. Again, the great way of adding the bulgur in the way I have it here is you're not going to lose any flavour. Everything is just going to be absorbed into the bulgur. And very last, sprinkle the whole dish with some fresh mint. And place the fish a little bit more up on top. And you could either serve it in this pan or transfer it onto plates. And that's a complete dish, very, very balanced. And ready to go, literally in about 5-15 minutes.